Hello everyone and welcome to, the NordVPN SwiftX Mexico City Grand Prix, round 14 of the championship here. You join us today for, beautiful racing, beautiful faces, 2 kilometers above sea level because the racing demands it. So, the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, 17 turns, 2.674 miles. We have 3 DRS zones and no shortage of racing action, as were demonstrated with series up and down the field. It's no shortage, no matter what. As it highlights on screen right now, battle between our current 2 championship protagonists, and a little bit of an insight as well into how their relationship as fellow racers, as fellow opponents, has not come out of nowhere. This has been a long time rivalry. Of course, in the commentary box is none other than Mr. D. Biggles. And as we see the clip going on screen, we take a look at the drivers' standings. It's still all to play for between these fated rivals.
Yeah, hola, ¿cómo estás, amigos and amigas? Welcome along, of course, the Bienvenida of Mexicano Grand Prix, as you mentioned there, by Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, of course. The 2 drivers that have, Mexican drivers in the past that have won in this classic track. But yes, it is, isn't it? It'll be the 12th clash between these 2 drivers, and a lot at stake here. Jasper Ten Haken and Imar Durkovic for battle showdown with only a couple of rounds to go. We wrap up the SwiftX Motor Series, of course, sponsored by our friends, and I use them all the time, NordVPN.
It's great to have them, and great to have them on board and as part of the initiative here. So just before we get started, one thing to note is that we are skipping Q1. So people have to say a bit of commitments. The World Cup is on after all, and we are having a little bit of a shake around. So we are skipping Q1, heading straight to Q2 with our drivers out on the field. And looking at that battle, looking back at, and that's a IRL season 13. I believe they're on season 15 now, and I joined that league in season 14 to commentate for PC. So goes to show that this has been something, and these 2 have been constantly, I wouldn't say battling with each other, but more pushing themselves forward, because that's not necessarily what you have a rival for. You don't have a rival to spar and push them down. You have rivals. You make those friendly challenges to push yourself, push your opponents, because at the end of the day, with leagues like this, especially at SwiftX, you have your great racing, you have the top tier competitors, and then you come back, and at the end of it, it's a friendly little chin wag and a Discord call, and all life is good.
Yeah, Benjamin, I wonder if they'll be sharing Christmas cards together. I wonder if they'll be there turning into that Lewis Hamilton versus Max Verstappen and the previous championship for Formula 1. And as you mentioned, the World Cup, of course, well, obviously we have to go and support Belgium that's playing right now. And no spoiler alert, please, in the chat there, because Thibaut Cortez, of course, is a massive Formula 1 sim racer himself. And he's even flown his rig down into Qatar. That's to show you how much enthusiasm he has into the Formula 1 game. And, perhaps in the future, we may very well have Thibaut. Thibaut, if he has time, of course, to come join us with Dex. We'll see. But anyway, good luck to him, the Belgium goalkeeper. For now, let's get the focus on the track there for the second part of qualifying. You mentioned that we're going to skip because of the drivers. And welcome along to Mexico. High altitude, high speeds, second shortest track in the Formula 1 calendar.
Well, the altitude really does play a big part, and in a way, a much bigger part than people think. So, of course, you have less air resistance. The air pressure isn't as high. The air itself is much less dense. So that means that you can maybe run higher wings, you can be a little bit faster through the air, but that also means that in terms of cooling, and this is something that the real life teams see all the time, but the cooling on these cars, they have to bump it up, because especially the turbochargers, when they're spinning at, RPMs in the 6 figures, talking 100, 120, 140,000 RPM, those things get hot, and without enough air running over them, it's all too easy for the things to cook.
Yeah, trust me, Ben. I've blown up two turbos on my Nissan GTR Skyline back in Australia, and that's in Australian temperatures. I'm well aware how you could cook a turbo. Of course, they didn't have the support of a couple of 100 team members, to help build me that in the garage. It was myself and my brother and a turbo timer, and a little bit too much of a tweaking of a turbo timer, and bang, bang, $4,000 later, 2 turbos down.
Gotta hurt, but say it's not an uncommon struggle. Say whether it's consumer car or whether it's a top spec racing machine like the F1 cars we see out here. Say the AlphaTauri going around the track, that is going to be a mere setting the bar, setting the pace so far. We're on board with them right now. Going to see what times they can put down, especially the second sector, because that's usually the biggest tell of how people have got their cars set up and just how much speed they carry. More or less dictates whether the lap is going to be a winner or a loser. So can Smooth from the AT, and he keep that rhythm.
Speed gun as well too, so I'll be able to check that one out there to make sure the clock there top speed's in. Welcome out there in the chat. Of course, Mike was saying he was going to be engineering the last second, because but it looks like he may be driving. Are you driving out there, Mr. Mike, as Emar, of course, sets the benchmark 15.2 here off the bat.
There's a great benchmark there from the AlphaTauri. Going to see if anyone else on track can match it. People like Wilkasson, so on a great fit of form over these past few races in that Aston Martin, in that, say, beautiful British racing green. And I gotta say, I love the new body style. It's starting to grow on me a little bit, but I kind of like the old one a bit more. Even though it's more efficient,
we
this one.
This last week, didn't we?
Maybe, but
yes.
Even so, it bears repeating, because we've seen the aero developments in the real life, and we've seen the aero developments transfer eventually to the F1 game. 15.879. I think maybe, say, the change in body might have been all it took. A little bit more resemblance to the real life counterpart for those times to be completely shaven, as that is the Aston Martin into P2, and everyone is coming through now, starting to set that times. You've got Tim Brinker, Erlinghauser, Bashford and Loke all coming through to set their top times and see what bar they can set, because remember, we're straight in Q2. This is all ready for eliminations.
Yeah, it goes down to the top 10, of course, so you're going to eliminate 3 of those drivers. Benjamin, I've said this to you before, mate. I don't think you would care at all which of the Aston Martins to be parked in your garage. They're going to give you a free one tomorrow. I don't think you'd be too picky on those liveries.
Very true there. So it's not, can't really be much complaining about when that's the situation I'm in. But on board now with Kloss, going to see what they are putting out in terms of time. Looks like they're significantly behind. I think that's going to be a move into the pits from them. Oh no, it's not. It's going to be in fact, I believe that was their outlap. Wasn't able to tell. Either way,
10
they're on
minutes to
full
go.
charge
Keep an eye on
now.
Jasper Ten Hackett, of course. That's the championship battle. Because that right at the top of the timesheets is his championship competitor here. As they're going to go tooth and nail once again. It's going to maybe come down to the very last race in Abu Dhabi. Wouldn't that be exciting, isn't it? Coming down to a potential late safety car or something like that. We've heard all that before, haven't we? Between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Is it going to be a Jasper Ten Hacken versus Emar Durkovic showdown in Abu Dhabi? But either way, Jasper Ten Hacken's going to warm up those tyres right now for the Mercedes and get a hot lap in, because his championship competitor is on the top of the timesheets and looking strong. Under 10 minutes to go. Jasper will be starting a lap there. And Benjamin, I think you can give us an onboard lap a guide around here. Odrimo, of course, Hermes Rodriguez in Viva la Mexico.
Yeah, so, and who better to take an onboard lap with than one of the championship protagonists, to say current leader, as we head through. Say first, the start-finish straight. This is what it's all about. To say you got to nail the entrance onto the start-finish, carry as much speed as you can. You can see excess of 200 miles an hour coming up to the 210 mark. You push it all the way, you run the rings right down. You got to be hard on the brakes. It's that right angle 90-degree corner, and then nailing the line through this little segment. It's all about carrying speed. Mexico is a track that absolutely loves momentum, especially in the second sector. It's all about nailing your lines and carrying that momentum through. So whether it's sweeping S's or hard right angles, it's all about keeping the speed wherever you can get it. A little bit of wide at the double apex there, but sometimes you need it for stability, because it matters a lot more to get the setup for this part right. The S's matters a lot more to get that setup compared to a slightly tighter exit there. You can see it's running a little wide, running right on the edge, right to the line. as we are on board, and so looking at the time disparity, doesn't look to be purple just yet, but still on very good form from the Mercedes as they come around, say, final corner, hug the out wall as much as they can on that exit before going right back narrow, and that's going to be enough for P3. It's a 116.0, and the two Mercedes on the second row.
7/10 down, that's okay, but probably to see yourself through to the next part of qualifying, I'd say within 1 second, of course, I'd say of emails time, you'd be all good and go. And just to put you how close they are currently, matched on top speed, 334 kilometers, sharing between both of the Mercedes driver right there and Mr. Imar Durkovic. So there it is. Yep, that you can give you an indication there, Ben, at the moment. The downforce that they've set is on par.
And as it stands right now, so one ball with the Corpi, seeing what time they can pull out. It's going to be enough for P9. That's going to nudge Peter Lock into the drop zone. And they are not going to retaliate here. That's just going to leave two drivers left. It's going to be Scholten, who is, I think, going for a lap very soon. So this is about to be their lap they're going for. Or it's going to be Franklin. And we'll have to wait and see, especially that Aston Martin, what they can pull out of the bag.
Well, they can pull anything out of the bag at the moment. They've been doing quite good in the championship as well, too. Keep an eye on that one. Of course, Aston Martin's third in the championship, just behind Ferrari, 195 points. So, crucial time with only a handful of races to go. Mercedes on top, 245, but they're looking pretty strong to steal away the Constructors' Championship. But that's P2's up for grabs, absolutely for sure. And don't forget about Haas and P4. Just a handful of points there behind Aston Martin as well, too. They got a good performance today. You never know, but unfortunately, there are no Houses on the grid currently at the moment.
I still have a couple of drivers who are going to be joining later in the session, so maybe one of them will fill that Haas spot, but as it stands, on board with Franklin right now, set purple first sector, looking on extremely good form as it stands, and say both the Aston Martin drivers bringing their absolute A game and really making those swings where it matters. Locke going to go up to P8. That's a 116.812. That's going to get them out the relegation zone and put Maximilian Kloss in that place in his stead. And it's only 3 drivers, so still up for eliminations, but still 3 drivers are going to have to see the door before they make it to Q3. The question is, who is it going to be? 2 drivers yet to set their time. Scholten gone back into the pits. We've only got 5 minutes left. Franklin getting very squirrely on the penultimate corner, almost bottling it, but carrying it home regardless. That's going to be enough for P2. Just over 10th and a half behind the race, or the quali leader, and that is going to be Aston Martin's P2 and P3.
That'll keep you happy, won't it, Ben? I know how much of an Aston Martin fan you are at the moment. Exactly. So they got it done. He got the fastest first sector, I believe, as well, too, Mr. Franklin. So got some pace in that first sector. And his top speed, I believe, as well, too, is 334. He also joined the 334 club. So that's it. The top 3 is shared between the top 2 championship contenders, and then, obviously, Mr. Franklin stealing the surprise in the middle there.
Yeah, now we wait to see who is going to be challenging at this point, because we have just 4 minutes 20 seconds left in qualifying. That's enough for, say, maybe 2 lap runs, but it really is starting to come down to crunch time. Final chances of qualifying and making it into Q3 are upon us. We're on board now with Tim Brinken. Oh, just to say, sending it a little bit wide there, losing the rear. That is going to be an abandon for sure from that Mercedes, and maybe a key chance to head into the pits and get one final charge out there.
Getting down to 3 minutes and change to go for our qualifying session. Light rain is expected a little bit later. Probably not going to come in time for the third part of qualifying, the top 10 shootout. And the only driver yet to set a time at the moment is the McLaren driver. Currently just sitting there, hoping to set a time soon. Maybe waiting to steal a surprise late towards the end. We'll see.
We'll have to wait and
see. As I said, I think you'd definitely be safe if you're in that 1 second barrier. That goes down to Lieutenant Binkrel. Got it right at one point. But yes, and 1.5 is the benchmark down to Korsgaard and P10. But I'd say, with the dying stages of this race, you need to be under a second if you want to be in next part of qualifying.
And as it stands right now, we're on board with Shelton, but it doesn't look like they've got the ERS. They're on 8% right now. I think they burned a little bit too much, or as they burned it full stop during their outlap, to the point where they're now running on fumes. That's going to significantly harm their pace. He's just about going to squeeze every last drop right to the very end. It's close, right down to the wire. As we round the final corner, is it going to be enough to get out that relegation zone? It's looking close, and it's P9. It's just about out of danger for the time being, but everyone else is coming out and peeling out for those laps now. He's going to have to pray that people stay above and below him and doesn't move too much.
He's got plenty of churches to pray here in Mexico, so... But I don't think you'd be parking your car in a garage of a church right now. You'd be parking your car around all those corners as quickly as possible. 1 minute and change. So if you're on a hot lap right now, you're on a hot lap. If you're not, you might be in a bit of trouble. And
that's going to be, say, Hardwick coming through. A bit of an improvement there. And it's going to slot themselves ahead of Erlinghauser. Take a P6 for the Alpines. Are we going to see anyone go for a challenge on their front? Looks like someone in the background is about to go for a lap. Let's check in on Korsgaard as well, as they seem to be kind of running on their own, but it's going to be worth it because that is going to be P5 for the Williams. Still going to be carrying the torch even with their teammate out of action. And Kloss coming through
gets
P9.
Up there too. P9. Keep an eye for the Ferrari drive. No, remember Ferrari is crucially in the championship battle as well. He's got the fish helmet on as long as he doesn't invalidate. He's just invalidated, but right on the bubble there. So Noah's chances are out and done and dusted here in Mexico for his chance to get to the top 10. Just a final couple of corners, isn't it? A little bit of invalidation, bang, you're knocked off.
It's brutal, but such is the way of the track limits, such is the way of the marshals. You can't afford to be risky, especially that last corner. It's so easy to catch people out. There you go. That's Franklin retiring from the session, saving their efforts for Q3. They know that they're in a safe spot. Bashford, though, is going to be coming through and taking P8. That's going to be pushing Shelton into the danger zone now. And I don't know if they've got enough time.
Peter Locke is coming around the final corner there for the Red Bull. He's put in personal best first and second sector. Will personal best be enough? Yes, it will. Up at a P5. That knocks Mr. Maximum Kloss down out of the top 10 shootout now.
So as it stands, your three drivers who will be walking away short of any big mix-ups is going to be Maximilian Kloss, Jacob Shelton, and Noah Ilakorpi. But we still have plenty of time, and I think a few of them are going to be going back out for more runs, or at least praying that they can.
They can't now. Time's over.
Oh, the flag has fallen. I thought Shelton was about to cross the line, but...
No, Leon Erlinghauser, as he improves, but he was on a bit of a flyer. He could have gone even quicker, but he backed off on that one because he realized he was safe in the top 10 anyway, and he just put himself up into P7. It
was good to have that safety net.
Keep an eye on Jasper Ten Haken. Now, Jasper Ten Haken might be setting a bit of a statement here at the moment because he's at a purple sector. Now, he's safe anyway, but Ben, he's not backing off. I think he wants to remind Mr. Emar that, hey, I'm here, man. This is my championship to win. Let me just put this baby on the top of the timesheets and remind you how it may very well be panning out for the third part of qualifying soon.
Well, I think that he's got a point to prove. I think he's saying to himself, just because you left partway through the season and then came back does not mean he overcooks it, though. He overcooks it.
It doesn't matter. He's okay.
He's
anyway.
still safe, though. He's still got plenty of chance to prove that point. But I think that the overarching thing on his mind is just, look, I deserve this position. Just because you've come back doesn't mean I'm getting it for free.
Yeah, and this is beginning a little bit of this battle, isn't it? Inter-team battle between the drivers, because that to me, like, why would you don't need to set this statement late in there. You're just burning through your tires. He wanted to just lay that gauntlet down, didn't he? Offset that final spin, and I have to say he would have stolen that one easily that time. He was definitely on a fast lap, but elected to let a little bit of a mistake. This is game on, mate. Predictions out there. What do you think? I'd have to say it's going to probably be between one of those two drivers, unless we get a surprise from somebody else. Maybe, unfortunately, we can't have a Haas just jump up there and steal a pole away, but you never know.
Well, I
But what do
certainly
you think there, Ben?
no, there's not going to be any shortage of surprises, that's for sure. So remember, you've still got the wild cards of those who are going to be joining us after the quali session and straight into the race. So they will be wild cards coming in from the back of the field, but saying goodbye in Q2 is going to be Maximilian Kloss, Jake Scholten, and Noah Ilakorpi. Didn't have the chances to set their times and have another go, but we're about to head into Q3 here.
And just to give you a bit of an update too, there from the FIA race control deemed their investigations on the previous rounds, that Nadim, the contact between Nadim and Kenny Cook in the previous race there, Nadim, who's not racing currently at the moment, but Nadim's speed there was in a five-place grid penalty. But Luke Brinkley is actually involved in an accident with AJ Jackson. That's not in this race, but Luke is. And he's been issued a 5-second time penalty plus a 1 driver's license point for that one. So, yeah, losing your license points and a time penalty, but no grid penalty. The grid penalty will be for the other drivers. Here we go, top 10 shootout for not the final time, of course. We have Brazil coming up and then Abu Dhabi, but we're getting close in the championship, and this championship that is heating up, of course. Jasper Ten Hag and leading the championship, 186 points there from Imar Durkovic after his little retirement. Come back there at 157 points. So every point counts. In E2 lap alone, don't forget, 105 points is a long shot, but still a shot to perhaps win the championship.
Well, it's very dependent on how the opponents choose to play their cards, but so everyone heading out on track. Final shootout, Q3 here. Waiting to see if we get any surprises from the field, as it looks somewhat overcast here in Mexico. Could we see things start to change?
I did tell you about that rain earlier, didn't I? I said it was coming over, it's looming over, but I don't think it's going to come in time. And Jim, man, I'm sick of seeing rain, mate. It's a very hot day here today. I've had to actually put a few more fans on, believe it or not. It doesn't happen very often. I'm expecting a massive storm to come down hard, because usually when it's a hot, dry day, it's going to be pouring and bucketing down. How's the weather over there in the UK at the moment there for you?
We'll say all over the joint. I say massive storm this morning, got quite clear towards the end, and a lot of rainfall as it stands at the moment. But it looks like Mexico is going to be sharing a little bit of that sentiment, or at least teasing us at the thought of such, the prospect, as those clouds loom over. The surfaces look a little bit shiny, but I don't see any rainfall coming quite yet.
That's the beauty of the Formula One game. It can throw a couple of spanners in the mix. We've had a couple of spanners in the mix, haven't we, already this season? We've had 13 of those spanners in the mix, and we've had probably, what would you have to say, give or take 50% of the races, we've had rain surprises throughout there. Here's a little bit of trivia out there, anybody's paying attention in the chat. I would like to know, give me a guess on what on the Formula One calendar, we can't talk about the drivers themselves, their eye colors. How many brown eyes, how many green eyes, how many blue eyes are there in the current Formula One calendar? That's already been wrapped up. I can't give you the answer, of course, to all the drivers we have currently at the moment on the SwiftX Motorsport Series, sponsored by NordVPN. Maybe if we use NordVPN, we can probably look it up. Do your research on your drivers, as we've got that forecast coming up on the screen currently at the moment. You mentioned there a little bit of rain coming later on.
Oh, but I say, just as we were saying that, I think drivers may be noticing a little bit of slickness in the surface, as Emir just went off in the second sector, lost their end plate, no choice but to head back into the pits, as they have, say, just uncharacteristically, for a driver who seems so on it. And really, you look at Q2, they came out once, absolutely hammered in a top tier time, and then went back into the pits and never came out again. So for them to lose control like that might be a sign of some changing conditions going on here.
Exactly. Predictions out there for pole. Please welcome along, SwiftX. And I know you guys are out there.
Okay, it's going to be the Aston Martins.
Klein, of course. Oh, wow. Here you go. So Will replaces there. Mr. Franklin.
The Aston Martin's taking the top spots. P1 and UE2, 115.3 and a 115.5 shortly after. Then you got Tenaken coming in with, I believe, a 0.8, and then Bashi coming in with a 116, along with Erlinghauser, who's going to join him in that 116 club. But Hardwick is going to squeeze up into P4 by being just on the cusp of the 115 barrier. That leaves a few drivers on the field still. Say Timbrinka, I think, is about to go for a run here, so it looks to be on a lap. And then you've got Emir, Locke, and Korsgaard yet to fire out into the mix.
Yeah, Emir still sitting in the pit lane. Now, I was down earlier having a chat to Emir Durkovic about how he feels going into Mexico, and he's like, Biggles, let's take a couple of tequila shots there and sing a couple of songs, because he's pumped here, absolutely pumped. He's in Fiesta mode. I think he's very, very confident to know he's going to win this race, and well, of course, many people could deny him, but I'll tell you what, mate, that motivation's got me motivated just to watch him deliver the results he's hoping to deliver today.
I mean, I always respect the confidence. Say he knows as a top-class driver. He's shown it. He's got the receipts to prove it. But that doesn't mean he can rest on his laurels. They were on board with one of the Mercedes. At least, that is Timbrinka.
I got one for you, Ben. He's got the receipts to show. It doesn't mean he can file his tax returns, right? Where did I come up with that one? I just don't know. You said something about receipts. I just thought of taxes. But they are at outlaps, of course, himself there. Peter Lockie and Korsgaard finally going to put in their times as
yeah, but they're very close to each other.
Pit lane. Yeah, they are. I mean, it's the second shortest calendar, of course, tracking the Formula 1 calendar. It's only 2.8 miles and 4.5 kilometers, and those that use the modern system. And by the way, you did a little bit of research, Ben. I mean, you had to fly up here. How do you handle these high altitudes? And how high are we actually from sea level?
Yes, we're just over 2 kilometers above sea level. I think it's like 2,300 odd meters. And it is a little bit to get used to. It's not completely, say, lung thrashing, say you're not gasping for air, but it is noticeable. The air does feel thinner. And if that's how I'm feeling as just a bystander, I can't imagine the sensation for drivers in these kind of conditions, because they are operating under such high stress, such high pressure. In fact, they have to actually train up here at these heights, and even higher than these heights. I say you'll see them training 2, 3, maybe even 4 kilometers in altitude, just because if they can get used to that, then they can make the actual race more palatable. Or even say if they train higher, then the original looks like a cakewalk.
I would actually get the drivers and do a couple of Mount Everest challenges first, isn't it? Because so you get the low altitudes and shortness of breath. Well, if you want shortness of breaths, Emir Durkovic is on a bit of a flyer at the moment, as you're also looking at some of the other drivers. But Peter, unfortunately, has invalidated his lap. Let's keep an eye out there on the fashion statement there of the AlphaTauri as well. As he makes his way, actually, just keep an eye there on Korsgaard. Probably will be across the line first, if you don't mind there, Mr. Director. He's in the Williams. Yes, about to be replaced by Logan Sargent, of course, first US driver back in a long time. Bang up at P6 for Korsgaard.
And that leaves the AlphaTauri to see if they can finally get a rundown. Now, say Locke left themselves in such a compromising position, so they couldn't really move, couldn't really get back out on track. You even saw an Aston Martin having to go through the grass because Locke looked like they were rejoining the track at 90 degrees. So having to take a bit of evasive maneuvers there, but the AlphaTauri, for me, it's going to be very, very close to the top step. Let's say P3, about 1.5 tenths out. And with just under 4 minutes to go, 2 drivers, Timbrinka and Peter Locke, are yet to set a time.
And Benjamin, what's interesting as well too is that we're going to share the wealth and the love between the drivers, because first sector goes to Jasper, second sector went to Will, and third sector, I believe, went to another driver in my race notes. Just went Luke Franklin. There it is. So just blew off my tables that the fans on. So yeah, they are sharing those sectors, but nobody is dominating the last qualifying session of 3 minutes and 20 to go. Well, you want to dominate it? Dominate it to P1. P1's crucial, as you know, starting in Mexico.
Well, I think it's the difference of setups as well. That's the key instrument in this equation. Is that having the aggressive wings because of the lower altitude, making sure that you can grip the road, especially on the second sector, means all the difference. And where you'll see the fastest, say, Sector 2 times, might be a good indication of someone's got fairly high wings. As I say, Will Cassen's going to be coming through, though. A 1:15.0 is going to jump fairly far ahead of the rest of the field, and is going to set a mission statement. Tenaken going to be coming through. P4, it's going to be an improvement, but doesn't look like an improvement of position, as Tebrinka comes 1:16, almost 1:16 flat. Just 9 milliseconds off, but that is enough for P6.
Keep an eye out for the other Aston Martin there, Franklin. He's just replaced the first sector from his teammate. So I know you love the Aston Martins, of course. It's a British team with the upgrades coming to Silverstone as well. The upgrades are working right now on track anyway. Let's see how he handles the second and third sector.
They looks to take a very good line through there, and it is very close there. But again, you can see difference in setup. It was a good Sector 2, but it wasn't the fastest Sector 2, despite looking like they had their form completely down there. So coming through final corners here, so carrying that speed through as much as they can, go narrow, minimize the distance traveled, and it is going to be an improvement, but it's still going to be over a 10th behind their teammate. Though crucially, that might be what they need to secure a good position here.
He dropped it in the second, third sector by like only just 50 thousandths of a sector in both those sectors. He knows exactly what he needs to do, but looking strong because they're trying to lock out. This is the thing, isn't it? Emar and Jasper in P3 and P4. Jasper lining up for his lap. Emar Durkovic is on an out lap, warming up. This will be the last time for the final showdown here in Mexico for the final qualifying session to see whether or not our two championship contenders can get their cars ahead of the powerhouse currently at the moment from those Aston Martins.
What's on board with the Red Bull now? So last driver to set a time here, Peter Luck, and going to see just how much they can make up for lost time. So looking very strong. Erlinghauser manages to make it into the 115s club, going to push themselves into P6 in that McLaren. It's looking good for them, but say Locke coming through now. Looking like they're on some good forms. They just missing those sausage curbs on the inside, managing to dodge just enough. Is it going to be enough for a top performance? It's going to be good, but it's not 115 good. That's P8 for the Red Bull there. And they, crucially though, may have another chance, but as you can see there, they burnt the ERS on that lap. They put all their eggs in that basket, and it's just not enough.
No, it's not. I didn't want to say a bad pun there, but Peter Locke did a great job of not locking up. There's your first bad pun for the day. Here it is. His teammates on a flyer. No, his teammate, of course, a Williams driver there, of course, guys, on a flyer. 28.5 first sector. Emar did a 28.3. So that is the current battle through the first sectors between those drivers. Nobody else is on a flyer that I'm seeing, at least personal best or purples. Of course, got next to make his way up a little bit higher. His second sector's done at a 28.1. 27.6 was the fastest, so he's a little bit down. He's probably thinking about just getting himself around a P6 position or P5 maybe, if he can get that Williams hooked up there. Final time, bang, P7. I was close. Keep an eye out there for Mr. Durkovic now.
As they're coming through final corners, they're looking like they ran a little bit wide, getting a little bit squirrely on the throttle coming out the corner. It's going to be an improvement, but it's not enough of an improvement. That is Emir Durkovic in P3 for AlphaTauri. That, unless Bashford pulls in an absolute top-tier Herculean drive as they come across the line, it's not going to be the case. That is going to be an Aston 1-2 in qualifying, and Emir, only despite their best efforts, down in P3, with Tenaken just behind in P4.
How's that going to spice it up, isn't it? Both of the championship battle drivers in the second row. And of course, the Aston Martins are going to be able to just like control that race. But, this is going to be spicy going into those first couple of turns. Between both of them, I would have thought they'd be up to 1 and 2. But, yeah, Aston Martin's dominated in town. And you get to go over those qualifying results for a sec, please, Ben.
Well, they've really brought the heat, and certainly no one is going to be sleeping on them by any stretch now. So there you go. So Will Casson, Luke Franklin taking top 2 spots for Aston Martin, with Emir Drikovic in P3 for AlphaTauri, 115.4. Jasper Ten Aken with 115.560, and then Thomas Hardwick, P5, 115.8. Last one to make it into the 115 barrier alongside Williams, to say Leon Erlinghauser, Gustav Korsgaard, and then the final 3, Luke Tembrinka, Peter Locke, and Joshua Bashford, all in the 116s, just about making it through. But my question is, Bashford, 116.8. They looked like they had damage coming through the final lap. It looks like they were missing an end plate. What do you think happened?
Well, pushing the limits to the absolute limits. That's exactly what happened. And I'm sure the driver's well aware of it. See if we can get to chat to any of those Aston Martin drivers there of Will and Mr. Franklin for a fantastic job they did to put those lock out the front row there for the Aston Martin. Well, you don't hear that very often, do you, in Formula One? Mr. Will Casson, I think we can hopefully get to have a bit of a chat there, because he pulled one out of the bag. He secured the second and third sector. In fact, he didn't really secure the second sector, because believe it or not, him and Emar tied it on the second sector for the fastest at a 27.694. That's, that's pretty difficult to match identical sector times, but that's to show you how absolutely close they are on this SwiftX Motor Racing Series, of course, sponsored by our absolute fantastic friends at NordVPN.
Yeah, it's great to have them on board. And I have to say, matching a lap time is one thing. Managing to match a sector time, insane. The level of precision that you require to match something like that is extraordinary, and it really is just these drivers operating at top level and giving it their all. It really is amazing to see, and thus, as we got this and 2 more rounds, it really gives me hope for what we're going to see, what spice we're going to see in that finale.
And what we're seeing again is that Will is a pole mastermind. I mean, the mastermind overall, of course, is Emar. He's got 4 poles overall this season. But this is now the second. Will's already had a pole before in the past. His race results, unfortunately, haven't turned into the results that he's needed. But that man on a flying lap by himself on the track there gets it done. And he becomes, believe it or not, the second driver to get 2 poles. And believe it or not, Jasper Ten Aken hasn't even got a pole position in this series throughout all these 14 rounds now. And yet, the man's leading the championship. Doesn't prove to having a car on pole position is always the way to go, but it's got to feel good for the Aston Martin driver, Will, remember, because he's battling it out in that championship there for his team. And once again, he's got to have his teammate behind him. It's going to be even better going into turn 1 in Mexico.
Yeah, I think with Ten Aken, it's important to make a distinction, so they may not have absolute elite level pace, but they have consistency. Oh boy, do they have consistency, and do they have that hand on strategy as well. So while they may not get that pole, may not place the highest, where they really make up for it is just being able to put in that solid high pace lap in, lap out, and then playing a good strategy to a T. They're very aware, very adept at perceiving their environment around them. I think that's where the key difference lies, and I think that's where we've seen such a good performance. So regardless of the opponent, if you're able to read them, then you can work to their battlefield and really come out on top if you know what you're doing. I think that's the case that we see more often than we think.
Players case that we see, unfortunately, we couldn't get to listen to our poll setter at the moment, but I'll tell you one person we're going to be listening to is Mr. Emar Drikovic, who did qualify in a second row, mate, and there it is. So how are you feeling? You're going to be racked up on second row right next to your championship competitor. How was your qualifying?
My qualifying wasn't as good as I expected, but I think on my last lap, which I almost won at the end, I was debating with myself if I should keep P3 or try and get pole. And while I was debating that with myself, I just made some mistakes. And I think I'm happy with P3 because it's the best position to start in Mexico, I believe, because of the slipstream until turn 1. So I think it's a I'm happy. I mean, I wish they would get Bowl, but I'm happy with P3.
Well, I mean, and maybe because we had too many tequila shots earlier, isn't it? As we're listening to some of the songs down there in the pit lane, because I know you were stoked about Mexico. You're pumped, and you're full of the energy. Obviously, the color, the vibe here Mexico City provides. So yeah, and I was like tequila shots. I'm like, email, just take it easy, mate. Because I remember that qualifying coming up, and you did.
Yeah.
Maybe that was it. That was it. Never drink and drive out there, boys and girls. Of course, in the virtual world, you are allowed, but not in the real world. But yeah, once again, now, how is this going to feel? I mean, you got the Aston Martin's going to be ahead of you, going the first couple of turns. And on top of it, just on either your right-hand side of your mirror or your left-hand side of the mirror, you're going to have Jasper Hacken hunting you down. How's the pressure going to mount for you on the...
I don't care. I don't care about Jasper.
Races to go. No,
I don't care about Jasper. I mean, I have nothing to lose, and he has everything to lose. He's the one in the lead. I'm not. People don't expect me to win the championship at this point in time. I missed 4 races, and I think it would be a plus for me if I won the championship. But he's the one that has everything to lose, so he can't afford a mistake. He can't afford doing a risky move. But I can do that. I can make risky moves. So he's gonna be scared of me. I'm sure about that. And you even saw, I think he spun as well in qualifying. So
he did.
I mean.
He was trying to give you a banker, of course. You had the fastest one going to Q2, and he was trying to outdo you and had a little bit of a moment. But come on, mate. I mean, we're all friends here, all right? This is not the press, okay? We know you want to win the championship. There's no way you're going to sit there and say, nah, it's, it doesn't matter if I win or not. You're here. You're a race driver. You want to win. I know you do. You can play it down, but hey, we're here.
I mean, of course I want to win,
just
but
whisper it in my ear. It's fine.
Of course I want to win,
you
but
want to win? Yes, you do.
of course. But realistically, I don't think it's a realistic goal. But I will try my best to achieve my goals.
You just put that car. You get to just put that car across the line ahead of everybody else, and then see how it all pans out behind you. Ben, any questions there for Ema before you get it ready for him to? Ema, we're going to take a couple more tequila shots before the start of the race too.
I'm done.
Well, I think we say my question is to say not so much Jasper. Yeah, Jasper, you're right, everything to lose on his part. You got everything to gain. How are you feeling about the Aston Martins though? Because of course, we're locking out the top row in quali. Seem to be on very good form. How are you feeling on that front?
Well, me and Luke Franklin share a lot of mutual respect, so I think on track I'm gonna trust him a lot. However, with cars, I'm not sure about him. We had some battles in previous seasons before, and it's been a long time since I battled him. I'm not sure what to expect from that. But seeing Aston Martin 1-2 ahead of me does make me a bit nervous because they can pull some tricks, and I don't have a teammate that can help me in this situation. So I think in the end, me and Jasper are gonna help each other in some sort of way. I mean, on track to try and beat the Aston Martins, but I don't know.
Well,
we'll see.
Eman, let's look at this, right? Statistically, of course, we know drivers don't like to look at the statistics, but they're there, okay? You've only competed in 9 rounds, okay? And the other drivers have competed in 13, right? We're now in the 14th round. But you've got 6 wins, 1 second, 1 third, fastest lap, only 1, which I'm surprised at, but 4 podiums. The podium was stolen away, of course. Will Casson now takes a second man to get 2 podiums. Once again, Jasper has never got a podium before, which is very, very surprising, even though he's leading the championship. Lots of seconds. Only 1 first place for Jasper Hackett. So statistically, if you are obviously going to go to the racetrack there and lay your money down on your bets, you'd have to say bet on email, because statistically you won 6 out of 9 races. And this could be 7 out of 10.
I hope it is.
You're going to get past the Aston Martins.
I hope I do. It's my favorite. It is one of my favorite tracks. I love it. I just have that PTSD from battling Jasper here in previous seasons, and I'm not afraid to give back as well.
All right, we'll let you go. I'm going to send the Mariachi band down there to play some Mexicano music so you get your hyped up and pumped up. Of course, Ben, we're going to be hyped up and pumped up, aren't we? As we go to a little bit of a break and get ready for the Mexican Grand Prix, sponsored by NordVPN. Ben, you looking forward to it?
Oh, you bet I am. Now, we've got plenty to look forward to. Of course, thanks to Amir for joining us and chatting to us a little bit about the mindset. And it's curious to me because they have established rivalry there, but they're almost, choosing not to take it. Whether it's, a matter of say, confidence in yourself, or a matter of just, say, not seeing them as a threat in a way, it's still running fine and very much has the championship in grasp. So my question is, how hard are we going to see these two fight for it? They both have stakes at play. As much as he says he's got nothing to lose and everything to gain, the reality is a little bit different, or at least on the face, there's a lot more to it. So how hard are they willing to go?
Well, we saw it, didn't we, in the preview? They were bumping and grinding, and I expect to be bumping and grinding. It is. So, yeah, Benjamin, of course. NordVPN. Now, what does NordVPN bring you guys? Just click the links there. NordVPN, I'll tell you over and over again, I use it all the time. In fact, I use I'll tell you what, guys, right now, the World Cup is on, right? We all know that. I'm not quite sure how Belgium's doing currently at the moment they are playing. But I tell you what, I use my NordVPN because Australia was playing yesterday against France, and don't worry about the score on that one. However, being patriotic Australian, I could not watch it anywhere, but I used my NordVPN. I clicked England, right, and you can watch it free on the BBC. Free on the BBC. All I had to do was use a UK IP address, and I watched it on the BBC with one of my favorite casters, of course, Jonathan Pierce. Was casting that one. That man used to do Robot Wars and used to do the World Cups in the past. He's my mentor of broadcasters when I was so proud to hear him casting it. But that's how I watch the World Cup. So if you do want to watch the World Cup, it's free on the BBC. All you have to do is sign up to your NordVPN, click that button, go to the UK, bang, done. Ben, you're already in the UK, so you need to worry about that. But for people like me and around the world, hey, it's there. So trust me, you've got to use NordVPN. It's amazing, and be anywhere you want, anywhere in the world.
And there we go. So going to be jumping to a short break now. You can catch us, say, half an hour's time, 8:30 PST or UTC. We will be here for the Mexican Grand Prix. We had a great qualifying. Stakes have been laid. 3 rounds to go in the championship. It's all coming down to the wire, but as it stands, keep it SwiftX, and we will see you in a very short moment.
Arriba! Welcome as the World Cup fever is upon us around the world. It's a world-class battle for the SwiftX Formula One World Championship. Bienvenida in a Mexico Grand Prix for round 14 here at the Autodroma Hermanas Rodriguez in Mexico City. Sponsored, of course, by our fantastic crew there at NordVPN. It's the 12th clash between these two drivers and there's never been more at stake. Jasper Ten Hacken is in the lead, but Emir Dokovic is very close second. Mexico City, of course, founded by the Anzacs in 1325, of course, the oldest capital of the Americas and the largest Spanish-speaking on the planet. 21 million people reside in these parts. It's colorful, it's vibrant, and it's noisy. And, 140,000 taxi cabs over Mexico make it the largest taxi cab fleet in the world. And, of course, they're home to the FIFA Cup. But I just mentioned the FIFA Cup, of course, before Mexico will be hosting that one back in 2026. The second shortest track on the Formula One calendar. I already mentioned, of course, about those famous and the fastest speed record, 372 kilometers per hour, set by Valtteri Bottas. 360 odd, I think, was the kilometer an hour record set around during our qualifying session. But Mr. Benjamin, I'm Dean Biggles, but Mr. Benjamin, of course, behind the scenes, behind the camera, behind everything. How are you looking forward to this race?
I'm certainly looking forward to it. I mean, we saw some big shakeups in qualifying. We've seen some top tier racers give their thoughts, and with just 3 rounds to go, including this one in the championship, this is where we're going to start to see some tensions heat up, some battles come down to the wire, up and down the field, as we are waiting here for the final clock away, and we are going to see just what these drivers are made of.
When they're made of color and vibrant, they're going to make their way around a formation lap, of course, in that high altitude that you'd mentioned. Yeah, in Mexico City. How's your Espanol, my amigo?
That's a difficult one because it's been a long time since I fully practiced, but over 2,000 meters above sea levels, so the drivers, the cars, they're all going to be gasping for air. They're all going to be fighting to see if they can not only just keep their position, but keep their cars cool. So everyone is lining up on the grid now, getting themselves primed and ready to go. We have got, looks like a majoritively medium and hard, but Will Casson, P1, on the soft tyre. What do you think his plan is?
Safety car, of course. Matt, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Wow, a little bit of spice. You talked about spice having all season, my friend. Well, there's so much spice you can take here in Mexico City, but that's going to be the strategy at play. Over to you.
And as we get primed and ready to go, so we've got 5 lights. Track is live. And we are away. It's looking like a great start there from Will Casson. A great start there from Emir. Immediately sliding past Luke Franklin, losing a little bit of time. Lock up into P7, jostling and down the field. You can see other drivers say Hardwick, Cook, all fighting for position. And Casson managed to get away quite cleanly, using those softs right out the gate best they can. Cook and Hardwick are fighting for the 10th position. Kaz has got a pretty strong getaway. Durakovic has also managed to make a clean break from Franklin, who's dropped down into P4. And as it stands, there's a lot of jostling down lower in the pack as Erlinghauser in the McLaren trying to fight alongside Tembrinka for the race position. And as they have to go wide, they have no choice. These two are going side by side, neck and neck. Erlinghauser has no choice but to yield and drop down to P7. That second sector, you cannot afford to be going side by side. You're just going to compromise each other. He knows that Locke and Cook are just behind and that he cannot really be making those risky moves. There he goes. You can see behind that Locke and Cook are themselves battling. They cannot take a second in these early laps to breathe, and neither can I, apparently.
Oh, I can take a second to breathe, of course. Emir Dokovic and Jasper Ten Hacken, the battle championships there, getting past the other Alfa Romeo that's on the hard tyres. Different strategy, of course, at play there. Emir going for the hard tyres. Jasper Ten Hacken electing to go the mediums, and Will Casson is up the road big time there on the soft tyres, but we know the soft tyres aren't going to go you too far. 2 of 36 here. Welcome along. Couple more races to go. Sponsored by NordVPN. You're going to need a VPN at the moment. Look this race back up, and it's exciting fun. overtaking opportunities, but believe it or not, at the moment, 17 drivers still in this one, Ben. They survived 2 laps.
And now drivers are just fighting and waiting to see what they can get away with. Say Hardwick jostling for position with Sholton here. Gonna have the inside of the next corner if they can place their car. Oh, looks like they came together a little bit as wheel bumping. A little bit of contact between the Alpine and the Papaya car of the McLaren. Sholton having to go wide, yield, give the space, and eventually will have to concede that position to Hardwick heading into the second sector. As we have a retirement as Erlinghauser. What has happened to the second McLaren? That's going to be a VSC being deployed. I don't know if that's going to extend to full core, but it looks like just lap 2, we've already had an incident out on track.
It could turn into a full safety car. We'll see. The car was stricken. It's already been returned back. Those Mexican officials are super quick. I wonder if Will Casson, of course, leading this race at the moment, going, please, safety car. Of course, he's started on those soft tires. But guess what? It's only a virtual. They cleared the car away. We should be ready to go on lap 4 now, I believe. The telemetry should be showing lap 4. We're at lap 3. Close enough to it. Well, it'll be 4 right now. Click it over. And there it is. So the Aston Martin driver still leading with the fastest lap. Very quick. But of course, he's on those soft tires. How long can they last?
Well, he's got the Delta as disposal. Luckily, it's not a full core safety car, so he's managing to retain a Delta, though he is still in big trouble. He can't use that soft tire advantage to make that breakaway as he maybe originally envisioned. He's got a couple seconds, but that's not pit stop worthy couple of seconds, and that's going to be crucial as he's going to be the first to head into the pits. Whether he goes for a soft hard strategy, I think likely will be the play, but he has to keep an eye out on the track conditions as things evolve. Maybe a safety car runs in his favor. Have to wait and see.
Keep an eye out for the biggest gainers and losers, of course, at the moment. Franklin has lost a couple places to go back into P4. Green flag conditions. Lenny Cook, look out for Lenny. And DRS is now enabled. Lenny's up at a P7, gaining 7 positions.
As they're looking on board with that AlphaTauri right there. They're trying to see if they can meet back up with their teammate Amir up in P2. Lenny Cook looking like a really strong contender as it stands. We're on the medium tire. Essentially, say medium hard, or even, say, depending on how they can stretch it. Oh, there's someone sideways stricken right in the middle of the track. That's going to be Franklin. He's up in the final corner. He's right in the middle, and let's come together.
Noah. Yeah, I was just on board with Noah. Noah slammed straight into him because there was nowhere to go. Of course, there is no ghosting, and that's a Noah, unfortunately, for the Ferrari. Absolutely out. Wrong place, wrong time. Nothing Noah did wrong. But that has to bring a safety car out. I'm not surprised because no one's stricken in the middle of the track. I felt bad. I just was on board with Noah, and that's what's happened before in the past. We've seen it, and all that bridle's brewing at the moment. Further up there, Peter Locke, of course, so Lenny Cook is making a run. They've deemed it. Go, 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 Ben. Wow, they're tough here in Mexico.
The marshals are not messing around. They want to see racing, and by God, they're going to get racing. Looks like they have very quick, luckily, on the debris clear-up department, maybe right next to a recovery vehicle. Means they can get those cars out of the way. Toot sweet. But there we go. We are back up on race conditions now, and we're on board with Shelton, keeping an eye, and they are keeping their wits about them because they are effectively sandwiched. It's trying to catch up to the likes of Hardwick here, but also has to be aware that he's got an Alfa Romeo breathing down his neck. He's got Bashford right on his heels, so he cannot afford to make any mistakes, can't afford to breathe. Hasn't really got many options other than to drive their absolute heart out, give it their all.
Back at it. It's fun. It's exciting. It's Mexico. And there's Jasper and Tanak, and of course they're going for a tooth and nail there. I'm sorry there. Durkovic. This is the championship battle. And Jasper at the moment's pretty much happy to sit there behind there, isn't he, Ben? Just to sit there and pay Body's time there. He's got the ERS, the DRS, and he's got all those goodies at his disposal. He's also got Toto Wolff back in the pit lane there. Maybe throwing some Bose headphones, or maybe gifting him Bose headphones for Christmas.
Well, it's all about the consistency. We said about him having those consistent laps and locking that pace in. Holding the ERS, using the strategy to their advantage, especially, say, when DRS kicks back in, as we're seeing now, helping to bridge that gap between the two cars. If he can play his cards right here, work
Keep
to
an
the
eye on Lenny
strengths of his
Cook as well
strategy.
too, mate. Lenny Cook gains 9 positions now for the other AlphaTauri. He's like, Ema, I tell you what, mate, there is another AlphaTauri driver here. I'm not the number 2 driver at the moment. He's going to make a run on the Merc, down the main straightaway. He's got the DRS activation, 6th gear, 7th gear. Lenny's going to make a run. Here we go. It should be easy peasy. Welcome to Lenny Cooktown. AlphaTauri up into P4.
And to think, they're one of the drivers who started at the back because they didn't come into qualifying. There's only 13, and Lenny Cook taking that 14th spot, already up in P4s. They sifted through the field excellently, already making challenges for podium spots and backing up their teammate.
That's what you like to see. But Jasper Ten Haken now on the back. This is the battle, of course. Jasper Ten Haken and Emar Durkovic. Jasper Ten Haken leading the championship, 186 points. Emar Durkovic, 157 points. He sounded cool, calm, and collective, didn't he, in that post-race interview during the qualifying? But I guarantee you right now, he's going to want to try to defend off the flying silver ball of the Mercedes.
Yeah, you
That's
can keep your
P2.
cool. You can keep your cool no matter what in the interviews, but that race situation's all but a different game. You see him a little bit, as say, the micro movements, because he's going right to the edge of the track, trying to say perfect their run up ahead, that AlphaTauri. And it is almost emblematic of how hard they're pushing the envelope as to how much pressure they feel they're under, how much they need to perform. Say Tanaka is really bringing the heat, especially with the compound advantage. They're trying to make the most of it right now because they are in that window. They just need to get the most out of the yellow walls before they run out of time.
Well, he's got one problem at the moment. It's called Lenny Cook, because Lenny Cook's in town. I don't know what Lenny had for breakfast here in Mexico, what burritos he had, but he has something because he's closing. Of course, closing. The battle between E2 Lapalina and Peter Locke. That's the Haas versus the Red Bull. There's no Haas during qualifying. There's a Haas on track at the moment. The Red Bulls actually make a little bit of a mistake going off the track there, so E2 gets to live to see another day. But once again, keep an eye on Lenny Cook, loving Mexico. And, well, let's see how much he loves the rear gearbox there of a Mercedes, of our championship leader, as we go and make our way around lap 7, almost into lap 8.
Well, it's keeping him honest and keeping him on his toes. P4 right now, but you know he's surging for that P3. Got the fastest lap, got the pace seemingly on lock, and whatever wizardry they're cooking up in that AlphaTauri, it's certainly working. They've got to run absolutely to the limit here, but it's proving that it is working magic, because before long, and even I'd hazard a guess that this next lap they could be reunited with their teammate.
Ooh, wouldn't you like it? I mean, yes. I mean, obviously, Emar needs that teammate battle, of course, that's occurring. And Will at the moment is wondering, well, did I make the wrong mistake at those 7 laps on those soft tires? Here we go, battle in for P6 at the moment between Korsgaard and Ten Brinkley. Yeah, not gonna get done there yet. But battles are brewing all over the track. I'll tell you what, it's heating up in Mexico, mate. We know about the spicy foods, don't we? We know about the tapas, and we're certainly taking a few shots at tequilas. Who's going to take a shot at tequila? Jasper Ten Haken now on the back of Emar Durkovic. And I'm behind if he doesn't get the job done soon. Lenny Cook's in town. I'll tell you what, he's cooking up a storm, isn't he, in P4?
It's just waiting and seeing what moves he can pull off. It looks to have a really strong first sector, but manages to lose a bit of that time in the second and third parts where it's a bit more momentum and high-speed cornering. Now, I have to wonder how he's dealing with the pressure either side. He's essentially caught in a balancing act. Does he go full attack, and if he messes up, leave himself open to the attack himself from Cook? Or does he go a bit more defensive and opt to preserve the position he has? Either way, I don't think he's going to have a choice as we come around the final corner and start ourselves on the next lap here. Lap 9 is going to be on the ropes. He's going to have Cook right behind him. Both of them have the DRS, so the damage is mitigated, but Cook's still going to have a stronger slipstream. They have more proximity to the car ahead, and you can see it's so close to the rear there, so practically sniffing the gearbox as we come through second DRS section here, and all of them trying to bunch up and pack up together. It's not quite going to be an easy swing for Tanaka, and he's not out for the count by any stretch, but by no means is he having it easy either.
He's in the middle of an AlphaTauri sandwich, isn't he? That's the problem right now. One of Lenny Cook is on the radio there of Emil Dokovic and just trying to maintain that place, of course, maintain crucial points in this championship. And they know, too, on the team radio, that the Aston Martin leading the race at the moment on 8-lap tires is going to be struggling soon. He's still putting good laps in. Last lap was a 19.4, but they're doing 19 flats now. Emil did, so at some point those soft tires are going to burn off the cliff there. Gamble may not have very well paid off there for the Aston Martin drive, but still, it ain't over yet. Final couple of corners before we go into lap 10, and the battle's brewing here, and Will does go in, so that will free up Emil to lead this race. Emil Dokovic, second in the championship, now leading in Mexico City.
Needs to get this perfect pit stop here. Needs to be optimized. 2.2 seconds is very strong there from the Aston Martin pit wall. Nice and quick as they can be, but it's still didn't get that position advantage that he otherwise may have wanted. He's going onto the mediums, curiously, not going for a hard strategy, maybe going for a 2-stopper. I think that'd be his only real option. 2 sets of mediums would take him through and on a good balance of pace. He's going to be dropping down to P12 and immediately into the fight with Scholten, having to fight for space to rejoin the track, as Scholten looks to have burnt a lot of their ERS. But I say right now, looking at the sharp end of the field, it's going to be Emir leading the race, Ten Aken in second, but immediately under pressure from the second AlphaTauri of Lenny Cook, and he's not going to let that silver arrow have any chance to fly.
It's a great strategy, isn't it, the Aston AlphaTauri team? Because what they've done is they've split the strategy, of course. Yeah, Emil can go a lot deeper into this race. Yeah, Jesper Ten Haken has to make something to do with those medium tires, and Lenny Cook is putting the pressure on the back of him. Well, fantastic down there for the engineers at the AlphaTauri. Looking strong at the moment, first and third. And obviously surrounding the silver bullet there of Jesper Ten Haken. Teamwork at play. Bullies in the battleground here at Mexico City.
You can see they're surging to almost 204, 205 miles an hour. In terms of peak speed, maybe not quite as high as some of the other competitors. We saw 208s and 9s around the field, but it's still all about, say, keeping that momentum
just
through.
Making overtake. Sorry to cut you off there. Side by side. Not overtake yet there. Red Bull versus Alpine. Can he make it down? Joshua Bashford drops a couple of places as well, and that's another battle that's brewing a little bit further back as well too. But yeah, Peter locked there. Thomas Hardwick going for it, mate, and that's also bring Joshua Bashford up there and Mike Klein into play. So battles all over the place.
There's a lock trading that position back with Hardwick reasserting P7 before the second sector. And you really, if there is overtakes to be made, it's gonna be in Sector 1 or it's gonna be in Sector 3, say just coming out in the final, say, stadium section. Because Sector 2, the snaking S's, you can't get any moves done there, or you're at least very brave for trying anything around that sector.
Because it's just Lenny Cook can make a run right now. He's got about 310s exit there. DRS should be activated in just a second there. Up to 6th gear, 7th gear. There's your DRS activation. About 15 kilometers an hour down the main straightaway. Very long straightaway into turn 1. Also, you got to remember there, the Jesper Ten Haken will get the DRS activation as well. Maybe a little bit far back from Lenny to get a pull and move off. No, he's going to have to back off a little bit. But I tell you what, Jasper's looking forwards. Jasper's looking backwards. And Jasper's on a big pressure, big time here. And as Will puts the fastest lap in after his pit stop, of course. But it's 3.5 seconds down the road from Thomas, who's making a battle once again on Peter Lock.
You could see, say, Lenny was thinking about it that first straight. He threw a little bit of a dummy on the inside. He made it his intentions clear that, look, I'm going for this move now. Your time is coming. And you could immediately see the reaction. Ten Haken, second straight, went a little bit more on the inside, a little bit more defensive. Still left space, but that key change in line is all the signal that Cook needs to know that the pressure he's putting on, it's working. And he knows that it's crunch time. These next few laps, before the mediums start to give out, this is where it's really going to matter.
This is sacrifice of your teammate. Mr. Lenny Cook is sacrificing everything he can. He's burning through those tires tooth and nail, and he's making Jesper Ten Haken burn through his tires and helping his teammate out. There you go. There's your Sergio Perez, and your Max Verstappen, of course, would be Mr. Emil Dokovic. You'll be thanking him later on because he's a pressure that he's applying at the moment. He's applying it right now. This has got to be job done for sure. He got a better exit this time. He's got the DRS. No DRS there for Jesper Ten Haken. And we have an AlphaTauri leading this race 1 and 2, lap 13.
Like I say, the 1-2 from AlphaTauri, what a display of strength there But not to be outdone, the Mercedes are having their fight of their own, as you've got Korsgaard and Timbrinka literally going wheel to wheel through the first sector. Korsgaard's going to have the DRS, going to try and use it to reassert positions, going to be aiming around the outside, but Timbrinka trying to keep that inside line isn't going to be enough from Korsgaard, just having the speed advantage and taking the position back. But say Timbrinka can join his teammate potentially in P4, start to work up that gap again, then they might be in for a good shot.
Oh, we're in for a great race. Look at the actions happening everywhere on track. Unfortunately, only 3 retirements so far. 13, unlucky for some. Unlucky for a couple of the penalties. And it looks like the McLaren driver has just dropped back tooth and nail there for a little bit of an off-track excursion. But how I look at that, I have to give it to Lenny Cook at the moment. That's the man on the mission, isn't it? 14 positions gained. Currently sitting in P2. He's allowing his championship contender, Mr. Emar, make his way up the road there and dropping Jasper Ten Haken. Oh, I tell you what, Jasper Ten Haken needs his teammate, doesn't he? Of Luke down there in P6 to try to help him out as teammates.
Not only that, but Cook is already back in DRS range of his teammate, whether that is Durkovic backing off or just straight up, say, making that massive difference out of the situation. Cook's back in DRS. Tanakan, and crucially, hasn't got said DRS. They're just out of range, or at least to say fluctuating in and out of that second barrier. And they are going to be on the ragged edge before you know it.
Yeah, I wonder at the moment if you would let Lenny through. Lenny's on the medium tires. He's going to be boxing a little bit earlier. Further back to battle still occurring at the moment for you. Three-bay battle at the moment. P6, P7, P8, and 9, sorry. 6, 7, 9. Look at this. You got all the best cars in town here in Mexico City. You park them in your garage or not. Don't be parking those ones in the garage, guys. We'll see them on the track here for ultimately more laps to go. Look at that Will battling up with Peter Lockdown and Thomas Hardwick.
Yeah, but look at his recharge lights. He's burnt everything in the pursuit of positions, and now he's just trying to do a little bit of damage control. He's on the back of Lock right here, on the medium still. Of course, they got a bit more life in those from where he started on the softs, but he's burnt through what looks like a significant chunk of ERS to the point where he's going to have to use things like DRS and just the slipstream to recharge what little resources they have.
A little bit of rain lurking in the background as well, too, as we had during the end of the qualifying session. We'll have at the end of this one, it should be Will Cassin's time to shine here on the Red Bull Aston Martin. It's going to keep you a little bit of a smile on your face there, Ben. If you can make a stick around the outside into turn 1. I think he does, Ben.
He's just about held it together.
There.
Right on the edge of grip. You can see how close the car was to skimming out the rear, but holds it together. Well, Cassin's on P7 now. He's on the defensive job. You can see he's recharging, so is Locke. But he's going to have to fight to keep where he is now, because he's got two very hungry, very fast drivers, and two that have been fighting for a long time right behind him. So if he can get those two to fight in his absence, then he can make a clean getaway.
It's a crucial battle in the championship as well, too, because Luke is in P6 at the moment. There, Peter Locke's in P8 in the Red Bull. Both of them making gains in their previous races in the Drivers' Championship. So they are going for it tooth and nail, practically where they are in the Drivers' Championship, around 6, 7, and 8. It's great to see that battle brewing, of course, and the more you practice, the better you get. Whether it'll be battling at the top and then the timesheets, of course, coming into the new season, maybe is a possibility. But at the moment, Lenny's settling at the moment in P2. And look at that, they're dropping Jasper. Jasper's now 2.9 seconds down the road there from that Alpha Tauri statement, setting a statement here in Mexico City.
It's him right now, Zay De Boer, trying to get around Bashford here. You can see the Alfa Romeo going super defensive, but see, even with the DRS, has no choice but to yield. And that is going to be De Boer back upwards. No, they've made contact. It's going to be a pile-up at the back of the field. 4 cars make contact. Bashford, Kloss, De Boer, Scholten, I think it looked like. All of them coming together. And that is going to be serious damage in the bottom end of the field. And that's
a bit of carbon fiber, yeah, everywhere. But guess what? The Mexican marshals have said, we picked that up, we're done. This is denying the inevitable, the rain that's lurking in the background. I told you rain may very well be coming. You know that for a fact, mate, when I'm in town. The rain, I can hear thunderstorms in the background out of the casting box right now, Ben. I'm not quite sure if you can. But yep, it is absolutely heating up here in Mexico. Couple of kilometers north of your sea level. You wouldn't feel it, would you? But Coast Guard in the pit lane. So this is the first of the mediums to box.
Yeah, and they have to, of course, nail this pit stop if they're going to have any chance of running at the top end. I think, yeah, medium to hard strategy looks like another really good pit stop. So 2.2 seconds from the Williams. That's probably going to spit them out just ahead of P11. As in fact, yes, Scholten goes into the pits. And so does a lot of the back markers, as they were all involved in that collision and all have damage that they need to repair.
Yeah, Ted will be really busy, don't they? We didn't like front wing changes, of course. I'll add 5 seconds to your essentially 23-second pit stop. So give or take about 30 seconds you're going to lose. But you're still in the race. You're still in the points challenge, of course. You got to remember, a lot of these drivers are not generally challenging for the top end that we've been focusing on, of course, between Emil there and Jasper Ten Haken. However, they're still battling for the top 10 shootout in our SwiftX motor racing season 14 Series 1 Mexico Grand Prix. Don't forget your NordVPN. I mentioned this before, didn't I? There, Ben. I had to use the NordVPN in order to watch the FIFA motor racing. Lenny Cook's in right now, so there it is. But yeah, I had to watch it in order to watch the BBC broadcast for the FIFA World Cup. But don't worry about that one right now. Worry and focus about this, because this is pit stop time here, and Luke is also in from P6. So there's the medium runners. How far can the hards go now, Ben?
Well, I say the hards still plenty of life in them, in brutal honesty, but it's really about getting as much running as you can on the mediums. Those hards, they do have plenty of life, and even with some great management, you could, at the very edge, squeeze out something like a hard soft, but even so, it's not worth it, because just the pace deficit on the hards, even when they're warmed up, to the mediums, it is fairly significant. It does add up over time, so strategy here in Mexico, at least, it's not so much about managing your tires, it's about having the most amount of time on the highest grip compound. In the case mediums, take you about 16, 17 laps before you start to hit that drop zone, and then the rest of it is hard running and just sort of bring whatever advantage you have home as you hit that transfer window.
And Ben, Lenny Cook, man, that man on a mission, isn't he? Absolutely flying. Got to be my driver of the day currently at the moment. But then on top of it, Lenny Cook starting P14, P5. Then his pit stop, 22 seconds from Lenny Cook. As Jasper goes in, can Jasper get it done in 22 seconds? Can he get out ahead of Lenny Cook? Good pit stop, very good pit stop. Is it going to be enough? Where's Lenny?
And so you can see Lapalainen also coming in, so fairly high runner. But can Ten Haken do it? Can Ten Haken get out, and can he have the pace to do so? Doesn't look like it. He's down in P6. He's going to drop off significantly.
It's got massive traffic as well. As Lenny Cook's under massive attack there from Thomas. But, well, done for the AlphaTauri. Covered him off. A little bit, somebody running a little bit wide there, but Will, of course, still has to go to the pit lane. And look at the traffic that Jasper has to navigate coming out of the pit lane, trying to get temperature in those tires there. Fresh boots on, of course. But he's 25 seconds and change down from Emar. He's championship contestant, and he's championship leader. And, well, that's a 21-odd sec pit stop. And that at the moment, Jasper Ten Haken is 26 seconds down the road. And I'd have to say he's in big trouble if he doesn't get some sort of strategy call here. Or the rain, perhaps, lurking in the background.
Yes, the rain could potentially be a big equalizer here, but not to be outdone. You've got a lot of drivers out on the field, some repairing from damage, but we're majoritively seeing everyone come out from the transfer window. Scholten right now on the soft, second driver to do so behind Kassan, but has taken the fastest lap of the race at this point, and this really is damage control, I think, for the likes of, say, De Boer, Scholten, Kloss, Bashford even. I feel like with the collision that they had, with the fact that they had to go into the pits to repair damage, some of it might not even be repairable. Side pod, underfloor, could all be compromised from those collisions. So it really is about damage control and seeing if they can get away with points in the current positions they have.
Well, Michaelin's going in at the moment, the pit lane, put some mediums on, and she'll be able to clear that very much that driver you mentioned at the moment, that Jacobs Scholten. That's only committed in 7 races this season and currently running about P20 in the championship. So he's looking for a battle that will be resuming in the new season, of course. I hope that everybody's going to re-sign themselves up here for the SwiftX Motor Racing Series because exciting things to come. Definitely. This is only Series 1 there, Benjamin. But we have a lot to go in the future. And it's been exciting. It's been productive. And NordVPN's producing it. Here we go. Race leader in the pit lane. Now his gap currently, Ben. Well, a pit lane, if you can get it done perfectly, that's about 22 seconds. Now his gap is about to Lenny Cook. Lenny Cook, his teammate, should be able to clear the Red Bull in P4. Let's see how well AlphaTauri have planned their perfect strategy this evening.
Let's see just how well it's going to come to fruition. It's a very quick pit stop there from the peak AlphaTauri, so from the first car, and it looks like they're coming out right where they want to be. It's going to be P2. They had enough of a gap to their name to where they could get it done. Casson up ahead by a couple seconds, but remember they had an extra pit stop, and those mediums are not going to last all the way. They're going to have to switch.
The matter of Peter, look at the background there. Look at this, the three-way battle. Jasper's championship is on the line, and he's on a massive attack there. AlphaTauri, Alpine and the Red Bull are right behind him. Jasper needs to hold them off at the moment. He's got the best boots in town, considering to them. There's these penalties, but that's going to be stress. Did I mention stress? Absolutely stress. Mercedes driver.
Oh, but it looks like something's happened to the McLaren of Shelton there. Looks like they are out. Is that pit lane?
It looks like a pit lane retirement. Unfortunately, Ted's dead, baby. Ted's dead. But yeah. Well, Jasper now 9 seconds and change down the road from Lenny that just took that pit stop. You have to give it to Will. Starting on softs, gambling big time, went 9 laps, gone on to the mediums now, but he's on 11 laps in those mediums, and he has EMA second in championship on fresh tires with, well, there's a lot of time to go on this one, and rain looming in the background. I'd have to say Will has to pull off the miracles in town to hold this one off, but we have seen the Aston Martins do a brilliant job here during qualifying. Can they deliver the results during the race?
That it really is the question on our hands. Because as it looks like everyone nearly has taken their pit stops, we're starting to see the hard runners now go in to switch to the mediums for the rest of their running. And the green flag quickly comes out. So we have to question what's going to be yellow for to begin with. As things look all clear. Though
I think
save for a battle near. So save for a little bit of battling near the back. Bashford and De Boer going for a little bit of a tussle.
I tell you what, man. I tell you what, if you get a late safety car right now, you may very well get that little bit of rain. But let's not worry about that right now. The rain of tequila is raining in between Joshua and Born De Boer for the battle for P12 and 13, which you remember as well too. In a long race is 22 or 36. This could potentially be a battle for points paying position, so keep with it, and I'd love to see this battle.
There you go, as I said, that's going to be Casson in the pits now, getting those mediums put away. Second set of mediums now for the Aston Martin. As predicted, two-stop strategy.
Oh, he's going to lose a few places here. They're going to go zooming on by. Bang, bang, bang. He may very well have to tuck in behind cause guard. There it is. So he'll sell off a P7 right now. But he's got tires and he's got pace.
And those are really the main things that you need in order to get a race done. But as it stands, standings, P1 and P2 both taken by the AlphaTauris. A perfect race as far as it goes so far. And say Amir up ahead by a second, Cook just behind, and then Tenaken 3 seconds down the road on the hard tire as well as Cook. And that says off the podium. P4, E2 Lapalainen with 5, Luke Tembrinka, Gustav Korsgaard, and then Will Casson P7, Locke in P8, Hardwick P9, Klein, Kloss, Bashwood, and De Boer trading. So although saying that, looks like these back two are considerably trading places, while Scholten, Ilacorpi, Franklin, and Erlinghauser have all had to take the bench for this one.
Oh, he'll be taking the bench at the moment. It's not the FIFA World Cup, of course. It's the World Cup finals here at SwiftX. And I tell you what, Emar, I mean, he was like, yeah, maybe I might win, maybe I might not. I tell you what, isn't the best strategy. He's got 3 lap tires in the mediums. He just lapped 18 flat. Nobody else on track is even in the 18 club right now. He's got a 3-second gap. Will and Luke Belling. He's got a 3-second gap to his teammate, remember? And His main championship contender, Jasper, is in P3, 5.8 seconds and change down the road. I'll tell you what, I told you I was having a couple of tequila shots with Irma, but maybe he's eating the worm out of the tequila bottle, isn't he? Because he's worming his way up to another race victory, which would be, if he gets it done, 7 wins for the season, and he only did 9 races. Not too bad. Will be 10 races, of course. 7 out of 10 ain't bad, as they say.
I think, say, a win record like that is surely not to be disputed, especially looking at the proportion. About, 70% of their races they've won, and almost 100% would have been on a podium spot. So, as far as a racer goes, even with missing out 4 of the rounds, it's a near perfect season.
Well, for Lenny, but I'm really for Lenny. Because you got to remember, Lenny, 14 positions. Well, Lenny didn't even do qualifying. And he's like, qualifying. That's for amateurs. Let me just show you race results, because that's where you get the points. And Lenny currently, at the moment, in the points in P2. And what a way to... He did really help out his teammate, didn't he? He put the battle. He used to burn through his medium tires to battle up Jasper Ten Haken, currently, making him earn his money. Lenny Cook's biggest downfall right now is he's on 2 warnings. So if he gets slapped with a penalty, he's got 3 seconds. But he has a 5.8 second margin currently at the moment to the man that's leading the championship. But he has been the spanner in the mix this evening, hasn't it? Congratulations, Lenny Cook. Email should be essentially handing you the trophy on this race if, of course, they finish in these results.
As it stands, if you've got 2 warnings, you're still in a very good position, because we've got to think, 2 warnings without penalty to a racing driver, that tells me, say, 2 free cuts, 2 free mild track limit infringements.
No, he has 2 warnings, like 3rd one, he gets a penalty.
Yeah, so he's got 2 free cuts. So he can cut the track slightly, get a little bit of a pace advantage, get a warning.
No, he gets the 3rd one, he's in trouble.
Well, yeah, what I'm saying is he's got the 2 chances before that 3rd one.
No, he's on 2. The 3rd one means 3 seconds, sorry. We were a little bit, the British and Australian differences there, that's all.
Start with 0, 2 free cuts, then not a 3rd.
You got
Don't do 3rd.
I don't going to deny you on that one, but there it is. Joshua Bashford, just answer your question on that one, mate. He got 3 second penalty delivered to him at the moment, currently running in P13. Surprises or not, 26 36. It's a slowdown moment, but they're granted, at least in the esports world, Benjamin, we don't have to have a snooze, do we? And wait, 20 laps like you do in the Formula 1 world for an exciting finish. We just have to wait a couple more laps for an exciting finish.
Only, got 10 laps to go now. We're coming up to that crossover point of where the teeth start to get bared. Now, drivers still have been operating at such a high level through this entire competition. Not just this race, this entire competition. But with these last few rounds...
Thomas on Peter Lock at the moment for battle for P8 and P9 as well too, mate. Sorry to cut you off, because I know you got a lot of work to do there as race director, producer, and caster all in one here at SwiftX series. So tell you what, mate, you could handle a Formula 1 broadcast in your sleep, couldn't you, after delivering the esports world here at SwiftX?
Well, certainly keeps it fun and keeps me on my toes.
Mate, Crofty couldn't do this. You know that for a fact. Martin Brundle couldn't do this until old man. It's a new generation in town. The new generation in town, of course, is Benjamin, as the Peter Locker picks up a 3 second penalty as well. Now, well, hopefully it doesn't go down the penalty situation, but whoa, the Mercedes of Luke has gone into the pit lane and putting on those soft tires. Will he lose that position? He should be able to still resume P9, P10. Look at the battle right now, Thomas. On the outside, is it going to be enough, Ben? Is it going to be enough?
It's just going to be able to squeeze it, but that, second DRS can lock it in. Just puts himself in the right position, and there you go. That's all it takes. That Red Bull is still going to be right on his tail, and in fact going to be using a lot of energy to try and go on the inside. It's not going to be enough, though, as he has no choice but to peel back and yield ahead of the second sector. Maybe biding their time a bit more.
Exit out of the final corner, isn't it, mate? Because you're going to get that DRS run, the mighty DRS run, of course, with the world record in Formula 1 for the longest, the quickest straight line speed. That's where you want to get it done. That's going to be interesting.
As it stands, Locke's got to push. It doesn't really have many other options. So if he can get DRS at his disposal, maybe go for a little bit of a recharge, bide his time until the final few laps, and then go for a strike while Hardwick is trying to defend and burn everything. That's really the play from them.
Go on board, my friend. Have a look at Red Bull. Have a look at shifting, get through the gears, and then the little letterbox opens, and then bingo. Well, guess what? Christmas come early, perhaps for the Red Bull.
Let's see, there we go. Go full draft. Alpine's going to go full defensive. 208 miles an hour. He's going to have a great amount of speed carry through. Can he lock it into a move? He's going to just about have it. It's the pendulum has swung back in the Bulls' favor. So we get second DRS now to lock that move in. And again, Hardwick is going to be going full DRS and ERS battle. So the Alpine using all of its battery to keep on the tail of the Red Bull here. And I think it's just a constant ebb and flow.
And Ben, at this point at the moment, I'd be like, gee, honestly, I would time it. So on lap 35, I would like to be the car behind. And if you get a great exit out of that, obviously that turn before you get down the long main straightaway, that's where you can time your overtake. And then all of a sudden, you're then going to use all your ERS to defend against. That's going to be interesting. We'll see how that pans out a little bit further. But look at the gas between the top three, man. You got Emar, second in championship there, dominating this race with his teammate behind him, 7.3 seconds. Jasper Ten Aken, what can he do at the moment? Nothing really, can he? He's on the same pace as everybody else. In fact, Emar just set the fastest first sector, so he's putting a little bit more statement down there. He wants to steal the fastest lap away from a driver that's not even in the race right now, which is the McLaren driver in P14 that's retired. So extra, but then again, Luke is trying to steal this one away in P10 for the fastest lap on the soft tires. We'll see how it all pans out, of course. But crunch time in Mexico. Well, we're going to be taking some tequila shots later, won't we? Fiesta. And I tell you what, Peter Locke is not giving up on this one.
Yeah, so they're going to continue to fight against each other and see what they can get away with. So really, it's about setting up the pendulum because, like you said, lap 35, you want to time yourself so that you are behind. So the final lap can be all about locking in your position before the opponent gets a chance to take it back. You see Hardwick right on the tail of that Red Bull now, using the DRS to keep in range, charge their resources before going in for another strike come start finish straight. Because those two DRS zones are just so powerful. It's a single detection zone. You get one DRS zone, you get it all.
I agree. And after casting a lot of IndyCar, you know what? I'm sorry, push to passes are way better. You have 10 during a race of road courses. I'd rather push to passes because you don't have them every lap. You only have 10 of them at your disposal. And maybe Formula One should really implement that one, but don't focus on that. We can't change the rules. Here we go, the DRS exchange again. But that's what I'm saying. I do like to push the passes. You have to use them. It's basically basic, same thing. Open up that letterbox, get 15 kilometers an hour. But you only have 10 of them at your disposal. And you can also use one to defend. That's the thing with the DRS in Formula One. You can't use it to defend unless you have a DRS activation of somebody up the road. I think we should see that in Formula One because it works brilliantly in IndyCar. And once again, I just don't like to see everybody having DRS because we're seeing the DRS overtakes and overtakes and overtakes again. It's not coming down to pure driver skills, it's coming down to pure advantage of straight line speed. But I tell you what, Emar somehow pulling something out of the bag, man. Fastest lap previous to this, 17.2 on 10 lap mediums. He didn't sound very confident during the post-race interviews for qualifying, but he set a bank down there. And his main contestant in the championship, Jasper, P3.
And that crucial difference is really what he needs to settle the score and start to claw away that championship gap a little. You can see Locke going another DRS move. It's going to run to the inside. It's almost like a pendulum and almost like it's a formulaic at this stage, although doesn't get it in the first run. It doesn't quite get it in the first run.
If you took away the ERS, granted, it's the same thing as straight line speed. Look at this overtake again. And these drivers are brilliant. Nothing between these two drivers. They're absolutely fantastic. They're right on the bubble. You got to remember, Thomas is 13th in the championship there. Luke, currently at the moment, he's 6th in the championship. Luke's got a lot more to lose here. It's great to see it wheel-to-wheel racing, but I just like, you know, it's all about timing, the DRS management, and a little bit of ERS. I honestly think a push to pass would be like, just limit that. Limit the amount of times that letterbox opens and time it perfectly. It used to be back in those turbocharged period days in Formula 1 where, hey, you can use all the turbocharger you want, but then you're going to run out of gasoline by the end of the race. Anyway, that's something else. This is not something we're going to dictate here at SwiftX Motorsports because it's not in our control. We're using the Formula 1 rules, Formula 1 regulations, and it still is exciting, of course, but you can't take it away, can you? From the absolute amazing work that the AlphaTauri statements have set this evening. Email started in P3, currently running a P1, easy peasy, fastest lap. Lenny Cook, absolutely, by far, my driver of the day, helping his team out, holding Jasper at bay, and gaining 14 positions to be in P2 on the championship. Hopefully, spraying the bubble stuff with his teammate.
We'll have to see how those two balance each other out. And it looks like they had the strategy perfectly in hand. Though Lapalainen is a surprise contender to this fight, jumping in with 5 laps to go, less than 5 laps to go. In the Haas, P4, but you can see tire advantage, they've got DRS range, and they are going to be charging to take that Mercedes down a peg.
Lapalainen time, of course. Third in the championship. We're going to take it away from Lapalainen. He's still mathematically possible to win the championship. And I tell you what, Lapalainen wants another podium. Now, that man has only 1 third place in the championship, and he can make that 1 turn to 2. He's got a fastest lap. He's had a pole. And at the moment, he's sniffing a little bit of the old Jasper, the Mercedes. And, well, damage limitation, isn't it? It'll put a bit of a smile there on Emil Djokovic's face. Can the Haas driver get it done? Obviously, he wasn't there for the qualifying, but he's certainly here for the race. 15 positions up into P4, maybe P3. Well, how much Jasper, remember, has to defend every single point, can't he, Ben, right now? He can't afford to lose a single point, especially knowing that Emil has a race win and the fastest lap up his sleeve right now.
Yeah, and that crucial point, and Jasper being in P3 versus P4, again, it's all chipping away at that total. We can't be making any mistake, can't be conceding any positions. He really needs to be as aggressive as he can be. As much as the nonchalant attitude is going to help in terms of the nerves and keeping a call out on track, that's not going to help you if you're fighting for top spot and fighting to keep it, especially with such stiff competition as both the AlphaTauris, not just the one in the lead, but both of them, as shown. Ito going very quickly to the inside before dipping back out, throwing a dummy. Again, all about the pressure.
Yeah.
Getting that state of mind.
Yeah, great minds, great casters think alike, don't we, mate? You called it. Dummies. Is he going to dummy it again there, Ben? Over to you.
He's going to hold. He's going to hold. He set his statement, and now he just needs to wait for his time. Let him try and resettle into Sector 2 before going for the spook again, trying to get that chase down so that the next lap or the lap after can be the one. Ideally, the lap after, because that means final lap doesn't really have any opportunity for a retaliation.
And I would say all about the exit into the final corner right now. You can see on, yeah, he's got to get the Haas driver, because he's inspired, of course, by Haas being on pole recently in Formula 1. Let's see if he can deliver it. He's right up the tailpipe. It's all about the exit. This is a tricky section. Of course, you go into the grandstand. I'll be cheering for you. Exit right now. If you get a really good exit for the Haas, it's an easy overtake into turn 1. And they're on their penultimate lap between these two drivers. Is the Haas driver going to do it? You got to remember, Jasper Ten Haken has to defend like mad. He can't afford to lose any crucial points. 2 rounds to go, Benjamin. You don't want to go down to the final scenario, do you, between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton? Actually, we do want to see that, obviously, here at SwiftX. But of course, do the drivers want to see it?
Yeah, really, ultimately, the drivers want as drama-free a season as possible, because drama-free means success, means points. And like it or not, that is the situation they want to be in, and that is the situation that right now Jasper Ten Haken basically needs. He's got this constant pressure from behind. Yes, Lappalainen is running on the mediums, but that advantage is kind of waning. We're seeing a little bit of squirreliness under the throttle. We're also seeing the clouds roll over a little bit, so I'm not sure if track temperature is not doing them any favors here. Though that may be affecting the hards more disproportionately than the mediums.
I bet you might just throw a little bit of kill on the track there just to heat it up, spice it up a little bit. Sorry. Oops, my bad. 36 to 36, so EMA, AlphaTauri 1 and 2 looking good. But who wants P3? Can Jasper hold off the flying Haas machine there of E2 Lappalainen? E2 Lappalainen says, well, I've got lap in my name, right? I've lapped P before. I've lapped everything. He has a fish helmet as well, too, so he is burning, 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 burning. Can he send one up the inside? Where is Jasper parking the car? Yes, good outside, Benjamin. What do you reckon?
Yeah, he's going to hold. They're going to go wheel to wheel through these first couple of corners. But remember, Lappalainen is going to have the second DRS. Jasper he has to hold position and he has to make it difficult. But it's not quite going to be enough here. Or at least not yet, because he's going to have to throw something. He throws it down the inside, but Lappalainen has the superior line. He has the compound advantage, and he has, heading into Sector 2, the position.
I like that, Ben. He has... What? Is it 2 A's and has? He's got it done, hasn't he, the house driver? I didn't think you even planned that one, Benjamin. That's why I love casting you all season long. Guess what? Only a couple more times you're going to hear Benjamin and me in this series, and hit the thumbs up please on the SwiftX Motor series, and make sure you also like and subscribe and join the season for the next season, so Benjamin and I can pull up some more of those Haas puns perhaps, right Ben?
Yes, absolutely can. But so as we look onward at the Siemens, oh yes, but then Aken sideways, final corner, he's bottled it, he's dropping down to P5.
No!
Hassan's gonna take it in the final corner. He's lost the position. Just the pressure mounting way too hard, and it clearly got to that breaking point.
It's gone to breaking on point, of course. I mean, let's go back to that one a few years ago, do we? But he broke it on point there, Jasper ten Haken, because he's man in the championship, 157 points there. Emar, after a little bit of retirement, 9 races done. Another race victory to make 7. 7 for him. Jasper now finishes not in a podium. Big trouble in Little Mexico. Wow, I'll tell you what, a couple more races to go, but it's not over. Benjamin, I had a little bit of lift in your voice, mate. You are stoked, aren't you? I'm taking you out to some tacos later.
Well, it's just, you don't see that. You don't see someone bottling in the final corner like that. It just doesn't happen. Or
sounds like a David Bowie, isn't it, in Queen song, Under Pressure?
Absolutely. And there you go, as we drop the checkered flag and everyone crosses the line. What a performance from the likes of E2, getting the Driver of the Day awards, the likes of Lenny Cook as well.
No, I'm taking that one away. Sorry, Lenny Cook gets my Driver of the Day. For sure. Lenny, okay, E2 got it because 15th to 3rd, but Lenny Cook did the job of defending that championship leader, perhaps now. And the championship leader right now took his steering wheel. He will get penalized for that because you're supposed to put the steering wheel back into the car. But he'll shake the hands, and the man is back. The Dane is back. The trophy's back. Congratulations. Mexicano! And carnival time is yours.
And it's great stuff from him. The AlphaTauri team can certainly be proud of their performance here. 1-2. Have we seen a 1-2 so far?
Just saw one.
I don't think we really.
He didn't get the trifecta, mate, but he got the fastest lap, and he got from P3 to P2. Go over those results for us, Benjamin, because it's getting spicy.
So yeah, I say I've still got the podium procedure on my screen.
You can hit the enter key and get just yeah. And then again, don't take these bubbly away from him.
And there you go. So we got there, say that brief celebration out of the way. Emir Drikovic take the checkered flag, 47 minutes, 58 seconds, and a brilliant race to boot with the fastest lap, securing that extra much needed point in the championship fight. Lenny Cook taking P2, backing up his teammate, being possibly the best wingman known to man, as E2 Lapalainen takes the third spot on the podium in P3 for Haas. Will Kasson taking P4 for Aston Martin. Great performance despite the alternate strategy. And then Jasper Ten Haken, the main championship leader, down in P5, and they've certainly got some work to do if they want to keep that spot with 2 rounds to go from this point. I'd be worried.
Well, you never really worry, right? I mean, I'm surprised you even worry, man. You're like cool, calm, and collective, like smooth operator, Carlos Sainz, mate, smooth operator. You never worry. You got 2 more races to go, of course. You have Brazil and you have Abu Dhabi, so you worry when you go to Abu Dhabi and it's crunch time. But you probably would have to worry a little bit there because absolutely amazing job from AlphaTauri. We haven't said that very much, have we, during the season? AlphaTauri's domination form, they're working together. Would you expect Lenny from P14 to be helping his teammate wrap up the win?
Well, I definitely expected some advancement. I definitely expected them to come in from, say, no qualifying. I expected, say, a mid-place position, maybe you say P5, 6, 7. I didn't expect a P2. I think it was
and
all
both of them,
in the
Ben,
start.
were nursing 2 warnings, mate. So they were on the cusp of leading a 3-second penalty. But even though at that point, that was so far down the road, mate, we were already looking at perhaps the Caribbean Grand Prix in Colombia in a couple more years from time. Now, that's what they were thinking about. We're heading back up north and into Austin, Texas. But it is what it is. We'll hear from the drivers in just in a minute. Up to Ben, of course. Ben's a fantastic producer here.
Well, I think it's
You've
only
been
fair.
doing a fantastic job all season long, haven't you? Well, I'm going to really miss you, Ben. A couple more races to go from now.
Well, I'd say it's only fair we get to talk to the drivers, and I think who better to talk to than the man that was quote-unquote not so confident heading into this round. Let's have a quick chat with, of course, our race winner. How you feeling, mate?
I am thrilled with the result today. Very thrilled, especially with Jasper being in P5. It's such a strong result for the team as well with the 1-2. I'm so happy for Lenny. I'm really happy today.
And he did a lot of work for you. What happened? Were you guys communicating? Because Lenny was holding off, obviously, Jasper. And Lenny was on the same tire strategy. You went to the hard tires, panned out brilliantly, and he was like your blocker. If it was American football or whatever, he was your blocker. Was that the strategy at plan between you guys, or just like game on?
It was. I mean, he was starting 14th, so I didn't expect him to be in P5 after a couple laps. When we got up to Jasper, we kind of motivated each other to push even more to get the 1-2.
Can we get Lenny in here real quick there?
Yep.
And I'll drag Lenny in here because I want to bring this. Lenny, we're dragging this conversation because you're a part of this conversation, because you're a part of a team that did the delivering to deliver the AlphaTauri's P1 and P2. The question we're asking is obviously, Ema and yourself, Lenny, when you gain all those positions, were you working together with Ema there and trying to hold off, obviously, your main championship contender of Ema?
Well, the plan going into the race was I was going to start on mediums because I was starting so far back. Try get through the field, get ahead of Jasper, and then play rear gunner. But the pace held up, so we both went for it, and it paid off in the end, honestly. And
how did you guys work together as well, too? Because I know that you had, obviously, you had Jasper in your grisps. Were you guys in the VC? Were you communicating? I'm just curious.
Yeah, well, we were down in a VC together, and when I caught up with Jasper, Amir started pushing to try and get him out of DRS. He managed to get him out of DRS. I overtook him. He then slowed down again, dragged me back out of DRS from Jasper, and then we just kind of DRS trained away from him, pulled a 3-4 second gap, and from there it was plain sailing.
And when you guys did get him, you were on the medium tires. Your teammate, obviously, Ema, was on the hard tires. Ema was leading the race. You were on the mediums. It seemed to me you didn't even put a challenger. You didn't want to overtake him, or you didn't want to, just let that pan out. You then boxed, dropped back quite a bit, of course, and then did 19 laps towards the end and climb your way back. Between you guys, of course, we'll go back to you there, Ema. Is that a whole strategy that played out? And by the hell, how did you pull that fastest lap too, mind you, on what 14 lap mediums towards the end?
I saved up all of my energy until at some point I felt like, okay, now I feel confident going fast enough for the fastest lap. Because the sector 2 is really a confidence thing. If you have the confidence to go faster, you're going to gain so much time. And I just felt like, now I'm going for it. I tried to go for it at the end again, but I almost spun, so it wasn't the right time. So yeah, just used all my energy, and that's how I pulled out the fastest lap.
And Benjamin, he didn't feel very confident, didn't he, going after that qualifying performance? And Emo was like, "Yeah, well, not really that confident." Blah blah blah. But maybe we should have been speaking to Lenny, because Lenny was definitely confident. But Benjamin,
yes, looking good from my perspective. I think my main question is, if you had to pin down one thing that brought not just your individual but your team's success, the 1-2, you had to pin down one thing, what would it be that was the main decider?
Well, I don't know how I could answer that. I don't know, Lenny, do you have any?
I
got one. Go ahead, Lenny.
The main thing for me was it seemed we were running a lot lower wings than the rest of the field. When I was making my way through, I was just blasting through them on the straights, but I was running very low wings compared to everyone, but I also had the confidence in the corners to keep it up. But if there's one thing, it was obviously the dropped wings that I think we were running compared to everyone else.
All right, let me just rephrase that one question. Sorry, Emo. The reason that made the difference in this race was Lenny Cook. Congratulations. You don't realize that you made the difference, mate. You held off the championship contenders here. You were the split between them. You were the difference from P14 to P2. You did what you needed to do for your teammate, and you must feel like a little bit like Sergio Perez right now and Max Verstappen. So you guys need to hug, make up. Not going to be on social media tomorrow, but team game played, mate. Lenny Cook, you did it. Yeah, well, honestly, I don't think you expected to do that, but you did. Come on, Ema, give him a pat in the back. I
think me and Lenny we've always been good teammates to each other at the right times. I just think our teamwork is better than anyone else's on the grid.
I want you to shout him out, but I want to see this Max Verstappen like just avoiding those questions. Come on, shout him out, mate. He made the difference here. He kept the gap. He built the bridge for you to scrap. Remember, you're just leading the race, mate. You don't see all the stuff that goes on behind.
I mean, to be fair, I wasn't a better strategy than Jesper, but I would say Lenny definitely made my race 10 times easier, and I could chill a lot more, and I was close to getting a penalty from track limits, and I think Lenny made me relax a bit more that race.
Yeah, I had a 3.5-second gap to Lenny, and I don't think Lenny would have stolen that one away from me anyway, but it still would have been guaranteed an AlphaTauri one too. Congratulations, guys. Ben, I'm cutting over this one because I just want to... I'm sick of those like Formula One scheduled interviews. We're going to make it real here at SwiftX, as we do. We basically put the NordVPN there and cut out all the propaganda. That's what we do here. Ben? I know Ben's...
Great stuff there. But say, you two, take a much-earned rest. How are you feeling about next round? So, Brazil, Interlagos. Any strong opinions on that one?
I love the track. Lenny, you love the track.
Yep.
I think it's 1-2 again, 1-2 again.
That's the goal? 1-2 again?
Obviously.
All right, here's a question for you. If Lenny made you win the race and then you had to switcheroo last minute, even though you potentially could lose a couple of points in the championship, would you let Lenny win if he helped you win this win that next race?
If he was faster than me in the race, I would always let him win. If he was faster than me.
Okay, all right. Well, holding that one to everybody. I like that. Max Verstappen wouldn't do it. We'll see.
I say let him win, but I'm saying I would let him fight me if he was. If it felt like he was faster than me.
So a game on between you guys. Okay, even more exciting.
I wouldn't let him win. I would just let him fight me. I say, man, just come on, fight me. Don't do it.
Let's drag. I want to drag E2 in here real quick there because E2's been waiting in the room here. Hello, E2 Lapperline.
Hello.
You are third in the championship. You didn't have the best race. I feel like I don't want to leave you out of the party, mate, because the locker room's open for everybody here. Well, the garage. And your race, mate, how did you go? Of course, you finished on the podium. You're also sharing the bubbly stuff, hards to mediums. P15 to P2. Unfortunately, mate, I did give my driver of the day to Lenny Cook because he was defending his teammate, but you did a fantastic job to get that Haas and get the bear hug there from Gunther Steiner.
Yeah. I mean, From 15th, there was a collision in lap 1. I don't know who caused it, but I lost, how many seconds I lost? Maybe 5 seconds. Then I had to be stuck. Yes, lad. I think it's Jacob, right? Then he spun. Then I just, pretty boring race actually. Then I just
It's not
started doing
boring.
laps.
I'm giving you a tequila shot because you got no warnings whatsoever during the whole race. You got to remember, everybody else around you got 2 warnings, 3 warnings, a couple of penalties. You got 0, my friend.
Yeah.
0. You have to put up with Gonta, you know, smashing your doors, and not. And you did a perfect race, and you had a quiet race. I mean, Benjamin probably put cameras on you tooth and nail when he could, but you snuck in there. What a brilliant drive, mate.
Yeah. Yeah. I got. No, I didn't get really lucky, but just had some face at least.
It's your
That's a
second
good
third in the
race.
championship as well.
Yeah.
You've already got 1/3. Got a fastest lap. You've had a qualifying lap. And we're going to see a little bit more from Mr. E2 Lap alone and coming into the next season. Hopefully you'll be in the next season because, mate, my friend, you are a very good, quiet achiever.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? If Emil races, I mean, that's pretty much done already. He's too good. And, I mean, I will try my best, of course, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
Is Haas back, my friend? Is Haas back?
I don't know, maybe. It
Yes,
can be.
they are back. You're on the podium.
Maybe.
We need to get you a little. We'll get a couple of media profile team down there to build that celebration. You're definitely a Scandinavian, aren't you, mate? Because you're not that hyped.
I am.
I love it. You guys don't get hyped, but I tell you what, behind a wheel, you can drive.
Yeah,
Right,
we
Ben?
can.
Short, sweet, to the point. Love it, mate. Great performance out there today. Final question before we let you go. Interlagos next round. Strong track, weak track. What's the feel?
I like the track, but yeah, it's a pretty good track for me actually. I did a race there about 2 weeks ago, so I practiced a lot for it. So we'll see. We'll see.
Benjamin is Scandinavian, mate. You can't ask him a simple question like that. He's going to give you a simple answer.
Well,
Yeah.
All right.
Sometimes that's what
All
it
right.
takes. You want
E2,
simple
my
answers.
friend, are you racing in barefoot socks or shoes?
Socks. Easy
Your socks. Okay. And what is your favorite Disney princess?
Disney princess. I don't really know Disney princesses, so sorry about
All right. Okay. Who's your favorite Formula 1 driver of all time?
that. Kimmy. Has
All
to
right.
be.
There you go. There you go.
Perfect.
See,
Okay.
Ben, that's how you conduct interviews. But anyway, thank you very much, mate. Sorry.
No, great stuff. Thank you, mate. And looking forward to what you bring to the game next round. And of course, we head
Yeah, thank
into
you.
the season finale. But
And by the way, Kimi Räikkönen, I'm just texting him right now saying he's going to give you he's going to turn up to your house in a minute.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Just be prepared for the. ding
Yeah, I will
dong.
be prepared. Okay.
Thank you, mate. Good job.
Yeah, thank you.
P15 to P3 on the podium there. So Hasses are back. Benjamin. Well, what's back, my friend, is a series that obviously Mr. Emo is back, right? Because this is definitely bringing it down to Brazil.
yeah, I think they're going all the way down to the wire in terms of the championship, especially that key deficit, P1 to P5. It's going to be the big difference. But as we look forward now, we look forward to the penultimate round, Interlagos of Brazil, next week, next Wednesday. Same time, same place, same great racing action, and certainly one place that you could always catch it. As here, SwiftX. Any final words from you, Dean, before we sign out and brush up on our Portuguese?
All the top of the screens, our sponsors, of course. We had to not remember them. We have to remember them because we use them, of course. Their CosAnimeDesigns, their Digital Motorsports, Zifod, their and Grid Finder. You'll find all of us in those. I've used a lot of those products before. I'm not even going to go into the NordVPN products because I'll be using that later to watch the World Cup series. But yeah, absolutely, SwiftX has produced. It is. We have a new calendar coming up in the future, but we'll just keep that for a surprise, won't we? We'll wait until Brazil, mate. I thought you're excited about all your carnivals, my friend. Well, Rio de Janeiro is coming. Benjamin, thank you very much, mate. It's looking good. Looking forward to next week, round 15.
And we look forward to seeing what excitement is going to be coming. But yeah, keep it SwiftX. We'll see you next week, next Wednesday, for the Brazilian Grand Prix, Interlagos, cornerstone of the calendar, cornerstone of F1 history, and maybe the turning point for the championship as we wrap up our first inaugural season. But see you all very, very soon.